I did have an op-ed in the Richmond Times on Sunday. You can check it out. Go to rtd.com, advocating that we get rid of this Neanderthal ban on exporting crude oil. Joining us to help flesh it out, Barry Duval, President and CEO of the Virginia Chamber of Commerce. Now, under his leadership, the Chamber has become Virginia's largest business advocacy group, growing from 850 members in 2010 when he took over to 22,000 members today, almost 23,000, and with the input of over 7,000 business leaders. So he's done a bang-up job. And Barry was also a Newport News City Council member in 1990. So he's from the peninsula. And he was also elected mayor of Newport News back in the day in the 90s, serving from 1990 through 1996. Some people say that was the good old days. Hey, Barry, good to have you with us.
Thank you, John. Good to be with you this morning.
Now, let's talk about, give our listeners kind of a walk through history when we look at the ban. We have a ban on exporting crude oil out of the United States. Now, the ban was put in there, back during the energy crisis. The idea was we wanted to keep all the energy production in the U.S., but that was a long time ago, and now it's actually hurting the economy. Can you kind of walk us through your thinking on it?
Well, thanks for having me on. I agree with your principles and the op-ed from the Richmond Times. In short, for the viewers and for the listeners, back in the 70s, there was an energy crisis in the world and certainly in America, and the public policy makers in Washington decided to do something about spiking energy prices. So they put a ban on exporting crude oil from the United States of America. Well, as you know, a lot's changed in 40 years. Today, America has the opportunity to be the energy capital of the world. And for those listening in Virginia, we can benefit and grow jobs in this country and grow jobs in our Commonwealth if this ban is lifted, because so much has changed since that time.
So by having the ban right now, kind of as you said, Barry Duval, the original idea is that, look, we got an energy crisis. Whatever oil we produce in the U.S. has to stay in the U.S. so we can become energy efficient. But what's happening is, this is how stupid this is. You got to call this out. So the people that produce the oil are forced to sell it to domestic refineries, right?
Correct.
And then those domestic refineries can then export it out. Now, how does that make any sense?
Well, we've got to take advantage of the dramatic increases in domestic energy supply in America. And it's going to require more pro-business public policy. As you know, we at the State Chamber invested 2 years developing our blueprint for Virginia. And within our energy section, we call on more pro-business public policy in Washington. One of those initiatives that we're supporting is this ban on crude oil exports. It will allow us in America to create an additional 300,000 jobs over the next 4 years. It will increase revenue to the government to reduce debt. For those people who are interested in reducing the debt of the federal government, it'll increase revenues by about $13 billion. And it'll provide more opportunity for the American economy. Virginia will benefit, of course, because we have one of the largest, most effective ports in the United States, and we will be a beneficiary of being able to build the infrastructure and support existing infrastructure to export that oil, and it will be a financial windfall for the country. It'll be a financial windfall for the Commonwealth. So we're at the State Chamber with over 23,000 businesses supporting this. We're having an event in Norfolk to actually shine a light on it this Thursday, August 27th at 8:30, John, at the Town Point Club. I'll be joined by retired Rear Admiral Don Loren and the Hampton Roads Chamber President Brian Stevens to shine a light on the importance of changing this public policy to make Virginia and to make our country more competitive again.
Well, look, the bottom line is this, and I would encourage everybody to that's interested in this, 8:30 a.m. Thursday, August 27th. Where is it again, Barry?
Town Point Club in Norfolk, Virginia, and they can contact the Hampton Roads Chamber, and it's free. They can come, hear information about it, John, and get more informed, because we're going to be asking people that are listening today, and we're going to be asking those who attend, to contact their 2 U.S. senators, contact their congressmen, and to communicate to them it's time to lift the ban. Just like in the 1970s, it took an act of Congress to do something about the energy concerns. Now it's time to support the free market and to support free market enterprise and unleash the energy supply that we have in this country and allow them to find markets for it. So I appreciate the opportunity. One other thing, and I know there are listeners on both sides of the aisle, this is a bipartisan effort. Former Governor Bill Richardson, cabinet official for President Clinton as well, Larry Summers, former Obama administration advisor. There are Republicans and Democrats in high leadership positions across this country that support lifting this ban. So it's a bipartisan initiative. It's a pro-America initiative, and we're optimistic that with the right amount of education for your listeners, they will contact their federal representatives and ask them to vote in favor of lifting this ban on crude oil.
Well, look, Barry, the bottom line is President Obama is advocating putting a lot of political capital into trying to cut this deal with Iran, right? Part of the deal with Iran,
that's correct.
Part of the deal with Iran is very simple. It allows Iran to sell their oil out of Iran. That means that other people can buy it, right? They can drill, they can get it up, they can sell it to anybody. Germany, Russia, Ukraine, the U.S., anybody they want, right? That's what the deal is. Why would we cut this deal with our enemy and allow them to export their crude oil, but we can't export our own? How does that make any sense, Barry?
Well, John, you're right. It actually is more intense because we're the only major oil-producing nation in the world with a self-imposed ban on exporting our crude oil to other nations. So we want to have a fair playing field. We want to play by the same rules as the other oil-producing nations. We want to allow the free market to work. We believe by lifting this ban, we will take America from a place of disadvantage to a place of a level playing field, allow our businesses to export the crude oil and compete with the other nations of the world. Again, it was a reactionary effort in the 1970s. The times have changed. The policy has to change. And that's why you're going to see an educated and informed electorate, both Republicans and Democrats, encouraging public policymakers to lift this ban.
Well, the ban doesn't make any sense in today's situation and economy. And the thing is, we need to get the price to such a degree that it encourages drilling for additional oil, finding oil, which is not a cheap thing to do, so that it can be sold anywhere. And then that, in turn, makes us energy independent. I mean, this to me is an absolute no-brainer, but like anything else, you're going to have the lobbyists that for the refineries, you're going to have other things battling this with millions of dollars. So you're going to have to call your legislators up to take action, tell them to lift the ban on U.S. crude oil. Hey, Barry, thanks for being with us today. Again, Barry Duval, president of the Virginia Chamber of Commerce, with me in this initiative to get rid of the Neanderthal ancient oil ban, the export oil ban in the U.S. Barry Duval will be joining Brian Stevens at an event in Norfolk.
We'll be in Norfolk, Virginia at the Town Point Club August 27th. They can contact the Hampton Roads Chamber of Commerce, John. And again, this will benefit your listeners. There are studies demonstrating that it will actually reduce consumer fuel prices if we can lift this ban. So it'll reduce prices for those listening on their fuel, and it will create more jobs for Virginia and for America. I hope those listeners that support lifting the ban will contact their congressman or come to our event in Norfolk at the Town Point Club. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss this important issue.
All right. Barry Duval, President of Virginia Chamber, thanks for being with us. Going to go to